Welcome to a very special edition of Strong Honor. I'm calling this the supplemental anniversary edition of the show. Welcome, I'm Tommy Stryker. Today, right now, I'm just going to talk about this is just a preview for Strong Style Evolved coming up on this Sunday night. The intention was originally to do something like this on the regular show, episode 40 that dropped earlier this week. But New Japan had not dropped the entire card yet when we recorded that show, and so we were only able to talk about the show, the matches that were announced at that point, not the entire card. So we didn't really get to give a full preview of the show that's coming up this weekend. So I kind of wanted to just do that tonight here on a Friday night and get that out there before the weekend, just in case some of you wanted to check that out and see what my thoughts were on Strong Style Evolved going into the show with the full card. And the other reason why I wanted to, a couple of reasons. Number one being that, yes, indeed, it has been a year since I started doing this podcast, Strong Honor. If you're not familiar, I started doing this show a year ago on the 19th of March, actually to be more accurate. So the original show that dropped on Thursday this week was probably closer, well, it certainly was closer to being the anniversary show.
The bullshit continues!
But this one is, we'll celebrate it here on this supplemental Strong Style Evolved, preview show. So, yeah, originally I started this podcast for a different website, for a different podcast network, I guess you could call it altogether, the Fans Podcast. And for, different reasons, it didn't work out over there, and I decided to continue doing it on my own, basically out of passion. I really enjoyed covering New Japan and Ring of Honor on their own, so I kept it going by myself. And with the help of the other guys that I did Best Pro Wrestling podcast with, Taco and Joe, they've been a tremendous help, especially Taco, who's really delved in deep to being a New Japan and Ring of Honor fan, with subscribing to New Japan World and more recently subscribing to the Honor Club. So he's all in, pardon the pun there, with covering that stuff with me. I shouldn't say covering. We're just fans, and we talk about our experiences as fans watching the show. We're not journalists. We're not pretending to be journalists. We're just fans having a podcast, talking about our experiences and our feelings on these matches and these shows. So all of that being said, I'm really happy to celebrate a year in the making of doing this podcast, being the anniversary on the 19th. I'm sad that we couldn't continue to keep it going over there on thefanspodcast.com, but I was happy to keep it going on my own Best Pro Wrestling feed, and now Strong Honor has its own feed, and hopefully if I'm not a big get guests kind of person, but obviously that would be a good way to try to grow the fandom of this podcast. So that's something I have definitely thought about and am looking to do more going forward. So we'll see what happens as things develop over the next year with this podcast itself. So with all of that being said, the other reason I wanted to do this show tonight was because for some reason, obviously with the card coming out late, it's nice to be able to talk about and preview the card and get my thoughts out there, because that's indeed what these podcasts are all about, is getting my own thoughts out there on these events. That was something I wanted to do on Wednesday when we originally recorded. That obviously could not happen because we recorded it before the card dropped. But the other reason, and I didn't go back and fully listen to what we actually recorded on Strong Honor, but I know for a fact that the entire day, Wednesday, I had it in my head that Strong Style Evolved was taking place on Friday night. And so I believe I even said that several times on the show. Neither Joe or Taco corrected me, unfortunately, so non-props to them for not knowing either or not calling me out on my own bullshit. But yeah, Strong Style Evolved is on Sunday. So yeah, I definitely screwed that up. Certainly in my own head, and probably on the podcast. So I apologize for putting bad information out there that was just for some reason in my own head. But nevertheless, let's get right to talking about this Strong Style Evolved card and just giving you my thoughts on it going into Sunday.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
So the first match on the show is pretty interesting. We've got Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo teaming up with their mentor, Rocky Romero, against SoCal Uncensored of Ring of Honor fame. Of course, Scorpio Sky, who's one of the new coaches at the New Japan Dojo out there in California, teaming up with his teammates from Ring of Honor, Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. Seeing that this is a New Japan show, I believe that Sho and Yo are going to probably get the win here in some capacity, just because that they're probably getting the push going into the rematch for the junior heavyweight tag team titles, being that they are looking to get their rematch in a three-way versus Kanemaru and El Desperado, who stole the titles from them via the skullduggery and shenanigans at the last big show, also with Hiromu and Bushi involved from Los Ingobernables. So a rematch of sorts, a three-way rematch. Looks like it is in the works based on everything that went on during the New Japan Cup. The second match, we got David Finlay teaming up with Juice Robinson, taking on the team of Gedo and Hirooki Goto. Interesting little matchup here. Robinson pinned Goto in a match on the last night of the New Japan Cup, leading us to believe that Robinson's probably going to get a never openweight title shot, probably at Sakura Genesis or sometime in the near future. So here's a chance for either Goto to get his win back on Juice, although that's probably not what's going to happen. It's probably either going to be Goto getting the win over Finlay or Juice getting another momentum-building win over Gedo this time. But certainly another win over Goto is possible. But I really don't. That would seem uncharacteristic, having the never champion having two losses going into a defense. But to continue to build up Juice Robinson as a credible competitor, I could see him getting the win over Goto here. Then Chucky T teams up with Toru Yano, a very interesting team there, against Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer, the Killer Elite Squad. Again, the KES coming out of the New Japan Cup, they've been getting some big wins. Their goal is to get the get a rematch or get a match against Evil and Sonata for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Titles once Evil is back off of the injured list, coming back from that orbital bone injury. So I'm looking for KES to get the win in this match here, although there should be some very entertaining stuff from Chucky T and Toru Yano along the way. Then Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the Gorillas of Destiny, back together again. Tama Tonga was not on the New Japan Cup tour, but Tonga Loa was. They team up here against Marty Scurll and Cody Rhodes, of course. Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. This is very interesting because obviously Marty, he was torn on the last tour as far as who his alliances would be with. Cody has been planting the seeds in Marty Scurll's mind of expanding on his own club, his own villain club, and recruiting people to the villain club. So Cody continuing to stir the pot in the Bullet Club. And then the Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa here, the Bullet Club OGs, the Tongan faction of the Bullet Club, including Chase Owens, by the way. They seem to be somewhat siding on the Team Kenny side, but not completely. Tama Tonga has seemed a little more on his own there, but the only reason I say that they might be Team Kenny is because of what happened during the New Japan Cup tour with Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale and even Tonga Loa himself teaming up with Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega's tag team partner in the Golden Lovers. So all of those guys teaming up and seemingly getting along really well. As a matter of fact, Chase Owens and Kota Ibushi getting along so well, developing their own tag team moveset on that New Japan Cup tour. So I'm kind of believing here that the Gorillas of Destiny are Team Kenny, which I in fact like, and then Cody and Marty Scurll, maybe with a little bit of strife amongst themselves, maybe with Marty thinking of really going out on his own with the Villain Club, perhaps. Then an interesting matchup here, Dragon Lee, Taguchi, Kushida, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, the former ace, forming a bit of a team Taguchi Japan versus Los Ingobernables here, Tetsuya Naito, Sanada Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi. A little interesting here being that Tetsuya Naito has been kind of being challenged during the New Japan Cup tour by Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki challenging Naito to face him, to get in a fight with him, even though Suzuki is the Intercontinental Champion at this point. Remember, Tetsuya Naito did not have much love for the Intercontinental Championship belt before. He, in fact, destroyed it before Tanahashi took it away from him, and they reintroduced the new belt that they have now. And so Suzuki has been trying to goad Naito into facing him for that championship, but Naito has kind of been brushing off Suzuki up to this point. So no Suzuki Gun guys, obviously, in the Taguchi Japan side of the faction here, but there is the distinct possibility being that this is Strong Style Evolved coming from California in the United States, that there could be a possible Chris Jericho run-in. Remember, it was Jericho that attacked Naito on New Year's Dash the night after the Tokyo Dome. So a possibility there here in Long Beach, California, with Naito being pulled in all sorts of different directions here. But it will be interesting to see if anything really develops out of this 8-man random match here on this card. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. I mean, you've got the Hiromu Takahashi Dragon Lee matchup that's always fun. Kushida with really nothing going on right now. Hiromu and Bushi, of course, looking to get back in the junior tag title division. So, and then what's next for Hiroshi Tanahashi? He lost in the main event of the New Japan Cup, and so he's looking for something going forward without a championship at this time. So, and probably looking for some revenge against Suzuki. So, who knows? Maybe Suzuki does a run-in here, and Tanahashi comes to the aid of Tetsuya Naito, taking out Suzuki, and then Chris Jericho comes and takes out Naito anyway. And how's about that for some Russo-ass booking on a New Japan show? Probably not going to happen. Next match, a special singles match. This was supposed to be Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Jushin Thunder Liger, but of course the injury to Rey Mysterio and a lot of rumors about him possibly getting ready to sign with WWE. In fact, the rumors are saying that because of the injury, it is in fact the WWE doctors that are checking him out. So that might be why, not only because of the injury, why he's off the card, but maybe perhaps because of some WWE reasons. But we get a really good makeup match here with Jushin Thunder Liger taking on current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay. I'm very excited for this. This is a very good makeup type of match. Jushin Thunder Liger versus Rey Mysterio was kind of a cool dream match. We had not seen those two face off since WCW in the early to mid 90s or whatever it was. So this was going to be a cool match, but Will Ospreay being a not necessarily a pupil, but certainly inspired by a Jushin Thunder Liger, he's going to bring it, and I think it's going to be a very good match. And if you look at it storyline wise, It's a really fun opportunity for a guy like Jushin Thunder Liger, who had his last Best of the Super Juniors tournament this year. If he can get a win versus the current junior heavyweight champion, that is a chance for him to get back into the junior heavyweight championship picture and get a rematch for the title possibly. Then an interesting semi-main event here. The current IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada teaming up with fellow Chaos member Tomohiro Ishii versus Minoru Suzuki, the Suzuki Gun leader, and Zack Sabre Jr. Of course, Okada and Zack Sabre are going to be facing off in a couple of weeks here at Sakura Genesis on April 1st. But it's interesting here because Zack's teaming up with Suzuki, who is the current aforementioned IWGP Intercontinental Champion, who had been challenging Naito up to this point. What is Ishii's role in this, if anything? But I think this is definitely more about Okada and Zack Sabre teasing their upcoming big match on the 1st. I lied when I said semi-main event because that's what this next match is for the IWGP United States Championship. Jay White, current champion, second ever U.S. champion, taking on Hangman Page of the Bullet Club. I think this is an interesting matchup in a tough spot because of the crowd's going to be so hyped for the main event. But Hangman Page, being that Bullet Club guy who's definitely on the rise, I think he'll be really over in this setting. And Jay White probably won't be as much, especially with him stirring the pot in the Bullet Club, not taking Kenny Omega's offer to join the Bullet Club, and in fact taking Kenny Omega's U.S. title away from him. But can a guy like Hangman Page take that U.S. championship right off of Jay White and bring that title back to the Bullet Club and cause a little more turmoil amongst stablemates, being that Kenny Omega is still looking for possibly a rematch for the U.S. title, and the leadership struggles currently going on between Cody and Kenny at the top of the Bullet Club. I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's probably just going to be Jay White retaining here, but you never know, and it's fun to speculate. Then, of course, the big, fun main event, the Golden Lovers, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, taking on the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson. We definitely talked about this one on the most recent Strong Honor, being the elite coming into play. Kenny Omega and calling him and Kota Ibushi the best tag team in the world after their most recent victory in, their first victory as a 2-on-2 tag team. The Young Bucks having an issue with that and getting in the face of the Golden Lovers. And then, of course, Cody manipulating the Kenny Omega apology to the Young Bucks on the most recent episode of Being the Elite led Matt Jackson to be ready to have a fight in Long Beach. So, should be very, very good. We have not seen the Young Bucks take on a Kenny Omega in the ring in New Japan in this most recent iteration of the Bullet Club. So this should be a very great, and I can't stress the word great enough. This should be great. Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi wanting to prove that they can be the best tag team in the world while facing what is arguably the best tag team in the world, the Young Bucks right now. Certainly the best drawing tag team on the indies. So, again, this should be a very, very good match and should get the world, the wrestling world, that is, talking come Sunday evening. All right, so cool. That's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Quick show, just wanted to preview that, give my thoughts on what's going on Strong Style Evolved. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, join the conversation, comments, questions, whatever you got, at Strong Honor for this show, at Tommy Stryker to follow me. Make sure you check out my other podcast, the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, bestprowrestlingpodcast.com, stronghonor.com, and all those links in the description for the show. Thanks again, and rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Talk to you later.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Yeah,
Right, John Cena.
never give up. skullduggery.